Hello and welcome to another episode on the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Joy Ravella. Today we're going to get pretty raw and real about peacemaking situations in our own lives. Let's get into today's verse.
If possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all people. That is the NASB version of Romans chapter 12, verse 18.
Once again, George Pink on the Everyday Joy podcast. Now, a couple episodes ago, we did Romans 14:19, sort of along the same thing. It was talking about getting along with each other because at the time this book was written, there was a lot of unrest in the early church. And again, we come back to this topic, if possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all people. George, what are your first impressions of this verse and what does it tell you about what matters to God?
Well, Joy, I'm quite struck by the part where it says, so far as it depends on you. So, if we look at this verse, it's a pretty straightforward command. It's an instruction to be at peace with other people, right? To live peaceably with those around me. But I can actually only control my own actions in that regards. I can't control if others don't want to live like this. But I try to live like this and to treat other people in this way, so far as it depends on me. As a follower of Jesus, I am called to offer the whole of my life, everything I do, as a sacrifice to God. I need to live in a way that pleases and honors God. And one of the ways I can do that is by being at peace with people, so far as it depends on me.
Yeah, and I do actually think that relationships really matter to God and having healthy relationships matter to Him. But with all of us being humans and broken, there are times when we aren't at peace with people and people get hurt. And sometimes you've got to be the peacemaker, which is what I love about this verse, because it says, so far as it depends on you, if possible, be at peace with all people. And you're right, George, it does acknowledge that there are times when maybe it's not possible and when it's out of your control, but to the best of your ability to be at peace with others. Has this verse come alive in your own life in any way?
Yeah, so something that comes to mind is a situation that I went through a while back. This was a few years ago, which was, honestly, it was pretty messy. I'm not going to go into the specific details, but it was a situation between me and another person, which, let's just say, did not go very well. And there was a lot of pain that came from that situation. For quite a while, I felt very hurt. I was very hurt. Just to be clear, as I continue, I'll say that there is plenty of stuff that I have gotten wrong in my own life and, hey, that I probably continue to get wrong. But in this case, I was the one who had been hurt. And after a little while, this person reached out to me. They sent me a message. They wanted to meet in person. They took the initiative and they apologized. They said that they were sorry and there weren't any conditions attached to it. It was, an unreserved apology. And this person and I are both, and certainly were at the time too, both Christians, right? Both followers of Jesus. And reflecting on it, I think that they definitely did the Christian thing. They said sorry. This was an act of peace. This was them making an effort to live peaceably with another person. In this case, it was me. I was the recipient of that. So this verse, Joy, that we've been talking about says, so far as it depends on you. And it was in their control to apologize. It was something they could do, and they did that. And it was in my control to say that actually it's okay, and that I forgave them. And so I hope I did the Christian thing too. And, both of us taking those actions, both of us doing that, actually did restore peace between us. Now, I don't see this person all the time. I'm not in contact on a day-to-day basis or anything, but occasionally I see them. We've got mutual friends, and when I do bump into this person, it's not awkward. It's fine. We're actually all good. So that conversation that they initiated was probably scary for them to do so. I wasn't particularly keen to meet them, to be honest, but I felt that I probably should. But looking back, it was so freeing. It was very healing. And so I guess it shows me that taking this sort of approach of actually living out peace is not just like a theoretical sort of thing that we should be doing. It's not just something we read about in the Bible or talk about on the Everyday Joy podcast. It's a real life thing. It makes a real difference to our lives if we can live this way. If we can live at peace with other people, so far as it depends on us, it makes a huge difference. I know that from my own experience.
Yeah, and I think lived experience is absolutely one of the most powerful things. But, how long was it between the incident where you got really hurt and that person reaching out for an opportunity to apologize to you? What was the time frame between that? And, had you already moved on at that point, or were you still in pain over the situation?
I think from memory it was kind of most of a year, most of a 12-month period. And I think that as the months went on, my approach would just be like, oh, well, it'll get better. I'll feel less hurt. Healing will come as, they say, time heals all wounds sort of thing. And so, I mean, maybe got a little bit easier, but not really. It wasn't until that conversation. It wasn't until that apology and for the chance for me to actually meet this person in real life. That was the difference. It wasn't just that, oh, okay, well, now we're another few months on from this situation where I've been hurt. Like, sometimes you actually just need to take an action, and this person did that, so props to them, and I'm so glad they did.
Wow. I'm so glad, George, that you had such a positive experience. Ultimately, I know that there was a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, but to have that beautiful moment of reconciliation, of forgiveness, and all of these tough things coming together, like God brought out so much good, and I'm so happy for you. But it actually reminded me of a story, not a story, I mean, this is something I am walking through, that I am working through myself. So I didn't have as much of a happy ending as you did, and I think maybe for you listening as well, you can maybe relate to either George's story or mine. So a few years ago, this would have been about 6 or 7 years ago, I did not treat a really important person in my life well. And I made some decisions that I'm not proud of. I said some things, I think, just to kind of, I don't know, I was very avoidant. I didn't want to have difficult conversations. I didn't want to speak the truth. So I kind of just avoided talking about things. And of course, when you keep someone in the dark, it's horrifically painful for that other person. And so I made some bad decisions around communication that led to a relationship breakdown, quite a painful, really difficult relationship breakdown. And I didn't handle that well either. So years later, this obviously had been playing on my heart for years. Every now and then I would just think about that person and how they're doing and if they're doing okay. About 6 or 7 years later, it was just this itching sense that I needed to make things right with this person. And it had been so many years. And I was so embarrassed and I was so anxious and nervous. I wasn't even sure if they were going to reply. But in my mind, I was like, no, but this is going to be good because I'm going to say what they need to hear. We're going to have this great moment of, reconciliation because that's how it's meant to go, right? That's not what happened. I poured my heart out to this person. I said, I am so sorry. I took full responsibility for my actions. I said, I'm moving to Melbourne, and I'm really sorry for everything that I have done. I was shocked when I got a response that said, I do not forgive you for what you did to me.
Wow.
And, even now as I'm sharing the story with you, I'm getting a little emotional because I'd really hoped that I could kind of close this chapter and move on with my life. But it didn't work out that way. And that's where I found a lot of strength personally in this verse. Because it says, if possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all people. And I tried to be at peace with this person. Obviously, I had really hurt them. And I'm so sad that that was the end result of my bad decision, But I can't carry that with me for the rest of my life. And I have to keep moving forward, and I've got to give it to God. And so I did. I mean, I carried that for months after that message. I didn't reply. They asked me not to contact them anymore, so I had to respect that as well. And I didn't get the closure that I was looking for. And I had to take it to God, and I just had to say, God, I know that I can find forgiveness in you. Help me to forgive myself. Help me to let go of this and move forward. Because, yes, sometimes people don't want to forgive you. And that's their right as well. That's their choice. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's really important that you've made that point. I'm really glad you have, Joy. I think it's a really important aspect of it. You know, if possible, so far as it depends on you, we can only do what we can do, right?
Today's episode talks about the not so pretty side of seeking peace. And sometimes people are on board, sometimes they're not. But the one thing we all have in common is this. In some way, shape, or form, we have the ability to extend an apology or to extend forgiveness. It takes both. But when you've done all that you can, when you've extended all that you can extend and things still aren't peaceful, that's when we can find more power and more freedom in this particular scripture. Let me read it again. Romans chapter 12, verse 18. If possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all people. The application for today's podcast episode is 3 ways. Number 1, do you need to extend forgiveness? Number 2, do you need to extend an apology? And number 3, do you need to surrender the situation to God because you've done all that you can do? Well, that wraps up today's episode on the Everyday Joy podcast. I'll be back next week with some more episodes. Make sure you do like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. I'll catch up with you next time.